NEC 250.32d addresses grounding electrode conductor connections where the grounding electrode conductor does not enter the building at the service entrance. In your situation, the main bonding jumper is connected to the grounding electrode at the service entrance on the pole. You can drive another ground rod at the trailer and connect it to the equipment grounding bar in the panel at the trailer. This effectively extends the grounding electrode conductor into the building and connects it to the grounding bus in the building, as required by NEC 250.32d. To do this, firstly, drive a number 6 ground rod at the trailer, positioning it at least 6 feet away from the building and any other existing grounding electrodes. Secondly, connect a number 6 copper grounding wire to the ground rod and securely attach it to the equipment grounding bar within the trailer's electrical panel. Thirdly, use a grounding clamp or another approved method to ensure a robust and reliable connection between the grounding wire and both the ground rod and the grounding bar. Important considerations include that the main bonding jumper at the service entrance should not be disconnected during the installation of the additional ground rod. Additionally, the newly installed ground rod does not need to be bonded back to the grounding electrode conductor located at the service entrance. The purpose of the additional ground rod is to supplement the grounding system and provide a local ground reference for the trailer's electrical system. When installing the ground rod, ensure it penetrates the earth to a sufficient depth, typically at least 8 feet, in accordance with local electrical codes and regulations. This depth ensures that the ground rod makes effective contact with the earth, providing a low impedance path for fault currents to flow back to the source. It is crucial to use a ground rod that is specifically designed for grounding purposes and is made of a conductive material, such as copper or copper-clad steel. These materials offer excellent corrosion resistance and conductivity, ensuring long-term performance and reliability. When connecting the grounding wire to the ground rod and the equipment grounding bar, use appropriate connectors and fittings that are listed and labeled for grounded applications. These connectors are designed to provide a secure and reliable connection that will not loosen or corrode over time. Ensure that all connections are properly tightened and protected from moisture and environmental factors. Before energizing the trailer's electrical system, thoroughly inspect the grounding system to verify that all connections are secure and that the ground rod is properly installed. Use a ground resistance tester to measure the resistance of the grounding system and ensure that it meets the requirements of a local electrical code. If the ground resistance is too high, consider installing additional ground rods to improve the grounding system's performance. It is important to note that the grounding system is a critical safety component of the electrical system, and any deficiencies or improper installations can pose a significant risk of electric shock or fire. If you are not comfortable working with electrical systems, it is best to hire a qualified electrician to perform the grounding installation. They will have the knowledge, skills, and tools necessary to ensure that the grounding system is installed correctly and safely. Remember that electrical codes and regulations can vary depending on your location, so it is important to consult with your local building department or electrical inspector to ensure that your grounding installation complies with all applicable requirements. By following these guidelines and best practices, you can ensure that your trailer's electrical system is properly grounded, providing a safe and reliable electrical supply for all your needs. Proper grounding protects people from electrical shock and equipment from damage due to fault currents. When connecting the number 6 copper grounding wire to the ground rod, use a listed and labeled grounding clamp specifically designed for connecting copper wire to ground rods. These clamps are typically made of bronze or copper and are designed to provide a secure and corrosion-resistant connection. Ensure that the clamp is properly sized for the ground rod and the grounding wire, and that it is installed according to the manufacturer's instructions. Tighten the clamp securely to ensure a good electrical connection. When connecting the grounding wire to the equipment grounding bar in the panel, use a listed and labeled grounding lug or connector. These lugs are typically made of copper or aluminum and are designed to provide a secure and reliable connection to the grounding bar. Ensure that the lug is properly sized for the grounding wire and that it is installed according to the manufacturer's instructions. Tighten the lug securely to ensure a good electrical connection. The equipment grounding bar in the panel is typically a copper or aluminum bar that is bonded to the metal enclosure of the panel. This bar provides a common grounding point for all of the equipment grounding conductors in the panel. The equipment grounding conductors are the wires that connect the metal enclosures of electrical equipment, such as appliances, lighting fixtures, and receptacles, to the grounding system. These conductors provide a path for fault currents to flow back to the source, tripping the circuit breaker and protecting people from electrical shock. It is important to ensure that all equipment grounding conductors are properly connected to the equipment grounding bar. When running the number 6 copper grounding wire from the ground rod to the equipment grounding bar, protect the wire from physical damage. The wire can be run in conduit or other protective raceway, or it can be buried underground. If the wire is buried underground, it must be buried at a sufficient depth to protect it from damage from digging or other activities. The depth of burial is typically specified in the local electrical code. The number 6 copper grounding wire must be continuous and unbroken from the ground rod to the equipment grounding bar. Splices or joints in the grounding wire are not permitted, as they can create a point of high resistance that can impede the flow of fault currents. If the grounding wire is damaged or broken, it must be replaced with a new continuous wire. The grounding system must be inspected periodically to ensure that it is in good condition and that all connections are secure. The frequency of inspection is typically specified in the local electrical code. If any problems are found with the grounding system, they must be corrected promptly. Proper grounding is essential for the safe operation of electrical equipment. It helps to protect people from electrical shock and to prevent damage to equipment from fault currents. It is important to understand the principles of grounding and to follow all applicable codes and regulations when installing and maintaining grounding systems. In addition to the requirements of NEC 250.32d, there may be other local codes or regulations that apply to grounding systems. It is important to consult with your local building department or electrical inspector to ensure that your grounding installation complies with all applicable requirements. When selecting a location for the ground rod, consider the soil conditions. The best soil for grounding is moist, conductive soil. Avoid locations where the soil is dry, sandy, or rocky, as these types of soil can have high resistance and may not provide a good ground connection. If the soil in your area is not suitable for grounding, you may need to use a chemical ground rod or other type of grounding electrode that is designed for use in post-soil conditions. A chemical ground rod is a ground rod that is filled with a chemical compound that helps to improve the conductivity of the soil. These ground rods are typically more expensive than standard ground rods, but they can be effective in areas with poor soil conditions. Another option for grounding in poor soil conditions is to use a ground grid. A ground grid is a network of interconnected ground rods that are buried in the ground. The ground grid provides a larger surface area for contact with the soil, which helps to improve the grounding system's performance. The size and configuration of the ground grid will depend on the specific soil conditions and the grounding requirements of the electrical system. The resistance of the grounding system is a measure of how well the grounding system is able to conduct fault currents back to the source. The lower the resistance, the better the grounding system. The NEC specifies a maximum resistance for grounding systems, which is typically 25 ohms. If the resistance of your grounding system is higher than 25 ohms, you will need to take steps to reduce the resistance, such as installing additional ground rods or improving the soil conditions. The grounding system must be tested periodically to ensure that it is still meeting the requirements of the NEC. The frequency of testing is typically specified in the local electrical code. The testing should be performed by a qualified electrician using a ground resistance tester. The ground resistance tester measures the resistance of the grounding system by injecting a current into the ground and measuring the voltage drop. The tester then calculates the resistance using Ohm's law. If the grounding system fails the test, you will need to take steps to correct the problem, such as replacing damaged ground rods or improving the soil conditions. Maintaining a proper grounding system is essential for the safe operation of electrical equipment and for the protection of people from electrical shock. By following the guidelines and best practices outlined in this narration, you can ensure that your trailer's electrical system is properly grounded and that it meets the requirements of the NEC and other applicable codes and regulations. Remember to always consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns about grounding systems. They have the knowledge, skills, and tools necessary to ensure that your grounding system is installed correctly and safely. In addition to the ground rod, the equipment grounding conductor system plays a vital role in electrical safety. This system ensures that metallic parts of electrical equipment that are not intended to carry current are connected to ground, providing a low impedance path for fault currents to flow back to the source. This low impedance path is essential for quickly tripping the circuit breaker or fuse, interrupting the flow of electricity and preventing electrical shock. The equipment grounding conductor system typically consists of wires, conduits, and other metallic enclosures that are bonded together to form a continuous path to ground. It is important to ensure that all connections in the equipment grounding conductor system are tight and secure, and that the system is properly sized to carry the maximum fault current that may occur. The size of the equipment grounding conductor is determined by the size of the overcurrent protection device, circuit breaker, or fuse protecting the circuit. The NEC provides tables that specify the minimum size of the equipment grounding conductor based on the size of the overcurrent protection device. It is important to consult these tables to ensure that the equipment grounding conductor is properly sized. In addition to the equipment grounding conductor, the bonding jumper is another important component of the grounding system. The bonding jumper is a conductor that connects the equipment grounding conductor to the grounded conductor neutral at the service entrance. The bonding jumper ensures that the equipment grounding conductor and the grounded conductor are at the same potential, which helps to prevent voltage differences that could cause electrical shock. The size of the bonding jumper is also determined by the size of the service entrance conductors. The NEC provides tables that specify the minimum size of the bonding jumper based on the size of the service entrance conductors. It is important to consult these tables to ensure that the bonding jumper is properly sized. When installing the grounding system, it is important to follow all applicable codes and regulations. The NEC provides detailed requirements for grounding systems, and it is important to be familiar with these requirements before beginning any electrical work. In addition to the NEC, there may be local codes or regulations that apply to grounding systems. It is important to consult with your local building department or electrical inspector to ensure that your grounding installation complies with all applicable requirements. Proper grounding is essential for electrical safety. By following the guidelines and best practices outlined in this oration, you can ensure that your electrical system is properly grounded and that it provides a safe and reliable supply of electricity. Always consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns about grounding systems. They have the knowledge, skills, and tools necessary to ensure that your grounding system is installed correctly and safely. When working with electrical systems, it is important to always follow safe work practices. These practices include wearing appropriate personal protective equipment (PPE), such as safety glasses and gloves, and energizing circuits before working on them. Energizing a circuit means turning off the power to the circuit at the circuit breaker or fuse box. Before working on any electrical equipment, it is important to verify that the circuit is energized using a voltage tester. A voltage tester is a device that can detect the presence of voltage in a circuit. If the voltage tester indicates that voltage is present, do not work on the equipment until the circuit is energized. It is also important to be aware of the hazards of working with electricity. These hazards include electric shock, arc flash, and arc blast. Electric shock can occur when a person comes into contact with a live electrical conductor. Arc flash is a dangerous condition that can occur when a short circuit occurs in electrical equipment. Arc flash can produce intense heat and light, which can cause severe burns. Arc blast is an explosion that can occur when a short circuit occurs in electrical equipment. Arc blast can produce a pressure wave that can cause serious injuries. To protect yourself from these hazards, it is important to follow safe work practices and to use appropriate PPE. If you are not comfortable working with electrical systems, it is best to hire a qualified electrician to perform the work. They have the knowledge, skills, and tools necessary to ensure that the work is done safely and correctly. Remember, electricity is a powerful force that can be dangerous if not handled properly. Always take precautions when working with electrical systems to protect yourself and others from harm. To summarize, grounding a trailer involves driving a number 6 ground rod at least 6 feet away, connecting a number 6 copper wire to the rod and the trailer's equipment grounding bar using proper clamps and connectors. Verify all connections are secure and meet code requirements.